Yes, thank you. I'm Saneli. It's a pleasure to be here. And well, I wanted to ask a question about, first of all, I'm very related to what you said about the seek for truth and the importance of education in general. And perhaps this is the reason why I have a background in cosmology, but then I switched to high energy physics because I want to understand the behavior of the universe in a fundamental level. But then there's also the fact that Henrique mentioned about the problem with society, that this skepticism, weird skepticism against science, right? So it is the responsibility of scientists to fight against this. I wanted to know your advice for a young scientist that perhaps is interested in scientific policies, that wants to get involved in policies, but has a PhD, that has a prospect in science. So, and you know, the academia is not very generous to people who are interested in politics in general. So I wanted to know your advice about what would be your advice for a young scientist interested in getting involved in general.
Honestly, I'm not in politics, so I'm maybe not the right person to say so. But when I talk with politicians or with people in the government or in all kinds of organizations, I think what strikes me often is the lack of knowledge. And so I would give you a strong advice. Yes, you can make a difference. When you go into politics at whatever level, you know, there you have also a passion. And I know politics is different from being you are a physics, you study physics, you know. Yeah, elementary particle physics is different job than being a politician, you know, where you have to deal with societal problems. But on the other hand, when you are a particle physics, yeah, you have to learn your basic knowledge, facts, formula, insights, etc., to interpret data, to know what is true, what is something that is meaningful. And I think when you go into politics, I would advise you have a big advantage that when you study at the university and you get this kind of training, first of all, you have a knowledge about facts and insights, not only about particle physics, but in general about what science does, you know, what science and education mean. Go to ask the questions about, hey, what does this information really mean? And you have the ability, due to your training, to go to the real data and information and see, is it valuable, yes or no? And the other important part is that you learned how to have a critical attitude. So you are able to ask questions, because the most important thing about science and education is to ask questions, no? So I think also in politics, it's really important to ask the right questions. And so I would advise, take this as a solid fundament, yeah? Your education, the fact that you can have a critical attitude and that you can interpret data or information you receive in a solid manner, yeah? And say, oh, this person says this and this, but what are the real facts and what is the content of this? Because I see too many cases where I see a lot of talking without content, yeah? And I would say it is more and more important that if you want to be in the lead, yeah, that it is about quality of information, yeah, and not only about the process, yeah? You see what I mean? About the process or the wording, but what does it really mean? What is the quality of information that you get, and what is the real insights to discuss a problem to get to a solution? And this also for politics, yes?
But as a scientist, we really can make a great impact. And in many countries, you're evaluated not only on your scientific contributions, but also your educational commitment, you know, your role as a teacher and educator, and also how you impact society. How do you reach out to society? And one way to do that is by interacting with policymakers and helping them to have informed policies rather than policies that are baseless. You know, and so we have a great role as scientists to be able to work together with policymakers. Maybe I can let, is it Dominique?
Let me emphasize, I cannot agree more. Informed policies and reach out. And I think there we can do more. And I hope the younger generation is trained to do this better than we did that in the past. Because I was never trained actually to reach out. I like to go to the public and to discuss with students. but please take it as part of your education, you know, because this is more than ever important role that we go out and to discuss with the public with respect, because people have different opinions, but you are trained to have a critical attitude and to provide the information.
Well, another way to look at it is that many of us are funded by the taxpayers. So it's our obligation to communicate back to the people who actually provide the funding for us to be able to do what we do.
Yeah, and we should do that. Yeah, it's our duty.